Pokemon Trainers Academy, Episode 5, Professor Skul's Electric Shock. Julius rushed to Professor Ogloz's classroom the afternoon class Friday. The classroom was 2 doors away from Professor Skul's, but the sooner he got there, the sooner he could evolve his Eevee, the sooner he'd be away from Amber. The moment the last of Professor Ogloz's students exited, Julius entered. "Excuse me," he told the professor, who was straightening out papers. "Did Professor Skul, Shurtagal, notify you about a student who wanted to evolve his Eevee?" "Yes, he did," the professor replied. "You must be Julius." Julius nodded. Professor Ogloza got up and shook Julius's hand. "It's nice to meet you, Julius. Let me get the stones." He went back and got the case on the wall containing the evolutionary stones. He placed the case on the table. Out of Eevee's 8 evolved forms, only 3 are stone evolutions. Flareon, which uses a fire stone, Jolteon, which uses a thunderstone, and Vaporeon, which uses a water stone. Professor Ogloza said as he opened the case and got out the 3 stones. "Do you already know which form you want?" "Not Flareon," Julius replied. Professor Ogloza put the fire stone back in its case. Fire-type trainers had evening study in Arena 1, where Amber had evening study on Tuesdays and Thursdays. "As for the other 2, Julius said. Then he thought for a moment. Amber had evening study in Arena 1 on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and Arena 2 on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Water-type trainers had evening study at Arena 3, and electric types in Arena 4. Arena 4 was farther from Arenas 1 and 2 than Arena 3. He made his choice. On Monday morning, Julius was welcomed in class by applause. Professor Skul shouted, "Let's give a big hand for my favorite student, Julius Hankies!" The students' applause was confused and sarcastic, but Professor Skul was quite gleeful. "What's this for?" Julius asked. "Don't you remember what happened Friday?" Skul answered. "You evolved your Eevee into a Jolteon!" "Yes, but why are you so happy?" "Because before there were no electric-type trainers in my class. Now there's you." "You never told us you were a fan of electric types," Amber piped up. "Really?" Skul replied. "You should have figured that out with the yellow walls and the yellow sheer curtain over the window and the poster that says if it's not electric type, it's not a friend of mine." Professor Skul might have been overjoyed, but right now, Julius was humiliated. That afternoon during free time, Julius went to the fountain to do the work Janelle had failed to do. He plumped down nonchalantly next to Amber, who was talking to a red-haired girl. He said, "Hey, Amber." "Go away, Julius," Amber replied. "Can't you see I'm talking to Marigold?" "It's okay," Julius answered. "All of us can talk together. You, me, Marilyn, Marigold." "Marigold," Julius corrected himself. "As I was saying, all 3 of us can talk together as friends. 3 still company, right?" As he talked, he leaned closer to Amber, reached into her back pocket, and extracted Latias' Pokeball. The moment the black and gold Ultra Ball came into Amber's sight, she yelled, "Give me back my Pokeball!" and clamped onto it with both hands harder than a shelter. Julius responded by grabbing it with his other hand as well. As the 2 wrestled for the ball, Marigold yelled, "Help! Help! Someone's stealing my friend's Pokeball!" The first adult who came to the scene was none other than Professor Skul. He threw out a Pokeball of his own and yelled, "Zippy, use Volt Switch!" Out of the Pokeball came a yellow lizard-like Pokemon that Julius and Amber recognized as the one who was always basking in the sunlight by the window of Skul's classroom. A ball of electricity formed over the Pokemon's head. One forward jerk of its head sent the ball of electricity flying towards Julius. Julius let go of Amber's Pokeball in order to get his own, allowing Amber to escape. He threw his Pokeball and yelled, "Jolteon, block it!" Julius's Jolteon leapt out of its Pokeball. The Volt Switch missed it, and Julius had to duck his head so that it didn't hit him. Amber looked at Professor Skul's Pokemon in her Pokedex. Helioptile, the generator Pokemon. They make their home in deserts. They can generate their energy from basking in the sunlight, so eating food is not a requirement. Professor Skul nodded at Julius and said, "I see how it is." Then he called out, "Zippy, electrify!" The Helioptile, or Zippy as Skul called it, shot a yellow beam out of its chest. It hit Jolteon, but nothing seemed to happen. "Jolteon, use tackle," Julius called. Jolteon ran toward Zippy and slammed against it with its body. Zippy didn't seem to take much damage. You don't fully understand what electrify is, do you? Skul asked. It makes your opponent's next move electric type. That means a normal type move like tackle only does half the damage. Now, Zippy, use bulldoze! Zippy stomped its feet on the ground, creating a shockwave that knocked Jolteon over. Bulldoze is a ground type move, Jolteon's only weakness. Your Jolteon has just taken twice the damage it could take from any other type move, Skul said. What will you do now? Will you return your Jolteon and forfeit the battle, knowing how badly it's been hurt, or do you have the audacity to continue? Julius yelled, Jolteon, sand attack! Jolteon kicked up sand from the ground, throwing it into Zippy's face. Zippy shook its head, getting the sand out of its eyes. Zippy, let's finish this off with Thunderbolt. Before anyone else could do anything, Julius pulled out Jolteon's Pokeball and said, Jolteon, return! The Pokeball sucked Jolteon inside. You return too, Zippy, Skul said, as he returned Zippy to its Pokeball. Then he walked up to Julius and said, Julius, it was nice battling with you. I've never seen that side of you before. I admire your bravery, boy, but I couldn't help but notice your Jolteon didn't know any electric-type moves. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. You just evolved it a few days ago, so it won't learn any moves naturally for a while. Maybe I could become like your electric-type tutor and help you train your Jolteon during evening study. How does that sound? Sure, Julius answered. Great, Skul replied. You still realize you have to see the headmistress, don't you? Needless to say, Julius lost his fountain privileges too. Janelle was not going to be happy about this, especially since she never authorized him to go to the fountain.